The alarm bells screamed through the corridors of the UES Defiant as Commander Jack Morrison rushed onto the bridge. His boots echoed against the metal floor while red warning lights flashed everywhere. The bridge crew moved with practiced speed, their faces tight with fear and concentration. "Report?" Morrison shouted over the noise as he took his position in the captain's chair. "Lieutenant." Commander Ryan Blake turned from his tactical station, his face pale. "Sir, we have multiple contacts. Dropping out of hyperspace. The sensors are going crazy. I've never seen readings like this." Morrison gripped the arms of his chair as the ship shuddered. Through the main view screen he could see the darkness of space being torn apart by brilliant flashes of light. One by one, massive ships began to appear. They were huge, each one, at least 3 times the size of the Defiant. Their hulls were dark and smooth, covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift and move in the starlight. "How many?" Morrison asked, though he already feared the answer. 300 and counting, sir," Blake replied. "They're still coming through." Morrison had been in space for 20 years. He had fought pirates, rebels, and every kind of enemy the galaxy could throw at him. But he had never seen anything like this. The alien ships formed perfect lines across the starfield, their weapons already charging with an eerie blue glow. "Communications? Get me Admiral Sullivan at Earth Command." Morrison ordered. Lieutenant Amy Foster worked quickly at her station. "I have the Admiral, sir." The view screen changed to show Admiral Kate Sullivan's worried face. Behind her, Morrison could see the chaos of Earth Command's main operations center. People ran back and forth, screens flashed with data, and everyone looked terrified. "Jack, thank God," Sullivan said. "We're tracking the same fleet. Our deep space sensors picked them up an hour ago. They came from the direction of the Zephyr." "System. Orders, Admiral?" Morrison asked. "Form up with the rest of the fleet. We're going to try to stop them before they reach Earth. The Liberty and Freedom are already moving to intercept." Morrison nodded. "Understood? What do we know about these ships?" Sullivan's expression grew darker. "Nothing good. Their technology is far beyond ours. Our computers can't even identify their weapon systems. Jack, if we can't stop them here, Earth is defenseless." The transmission ended, and Morrison turned to his crew. He could see the fear in their eyes, but also determination. These were good people, trained professionals who had served with him for years. They trusted him to get them through this. "Chief Torres, I need everything you can give me from the engines," Morrison called to his engineering officer. "Already on it, sir," came the reply from the intercom. "But I'm reading some strange energy signatures from those alien ships. Our shields might not be effective against their weapons." Morrison felt a cold chill run down his spine. The alien fleet was massive, and now they were learning it was also technologically superior. This wasn't going to be a battle. It was going to be a massacre. "Captain Santos is hailing us from the transport convoy," Foster reported. "The civilian ships are requesting escort to the outer system." Morrison looked at the tactical display. Hundreds of civilian transports were fleeing Earth, packed with families and refugees. They were slow, defenseless, and directly in the path of the alien fleet. "Tell Captain Santos we'll cover their retreat," Morrison said. "Blake, position us between the transports and the alien fleet." "Sir, that will put us in direct confrontation with their lead ships," Blake warned. "I know," Morrison replied, "but we don't abandon civilians. Ever." The next few minutes passed in tense silence as the human fleet moved into position. Morrison counted 37 Earthships against over 300 alien vessels. The math was simple and terrifying. They're opening fire. Blake shouted. The alien weapons were unlike anything Morrison had ever seen. Instead of the bright lasers and missiles humans used, the aliens fired streams of crackling energy that seemed to bend space itself. The first volley hit the UES Liberty dead center. Morrison watched in horror as the Liberty's shields failed. Instantly, the energy beams cut through the ship's hull like it was made of paper. In seconds, the Liberty was gone, vaporized completely with all hands aboard. "Evasive maneuvers," Morrison ordered. "Return fire." The Defiant's weapons blazed. toward the alien ships, but the human missiles and energy beams seemed to have no effect. The alien shields absorbed everything without even flickering. "Sir, the Freedom is taking heavy damage," Foster reported. "Captain Wilson is requesting immediate assistance." Morrison could see the Freedom on the view screen, its hull cracked and burning, but before he could respond, another alien volley struck the ship. The Freedom exploded in a ball of fire and debris. "All ships, retreat to defensive positions around the transport convoy," Morrison ordered. "We can't match their firepower." The human fleet fell back, but the aliens followed. Their ships moved with impossible grace, advancing in perfect formation. Morrison realized they weren't just technologically superior. They were also tactically brilliant. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet," Foster said, her voice shaking. "It's not in any language our computers recognize." "Put it on speakers," Morrison ordered. Strange sounds filled the bridge. The alien language was unlike anything human ears had ever heard. It was musical but also harsh, with tones that seemed to come from multiple sources at once. "I'm running it through our translation programs," Foster said, "but this could take hours to decode." Morrison was about to respond when another alarm sounded. "Sir, we're detecting a massive energy buildup from the alien flagship," Blake reported. "Whatever they're charging, it's 10 times more powerful than anything we've seen." Morrison looked at the tactical display. The alien flagship was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. Energy was gathering at its bow, creating a swirling vortex of blue and white light. "All civilian transports, emergency jump to hyperspace immediately," Morrison broadcast. "Do not wait for escort clearance." The transport ships began disappearing into hyperspace, their jump drives creating brief flashes of light. But many were too slow, their civilian crews unfamiliar with emergency procedures. "Captain Santos's transport is having engine trouble," Foster reported. "She can't jump." Morrison could see the transport on his screen, packed with refugees and falling behind the others. The alien flagship was almost finished charging its weapon. "Take us in," Morrison ordered. "Put us between that flagship and the transport." "Sir, that weapon will destroy us," Blake protested. "Maybe," Morrison said, "but it won't destroy them. That's what matters." The Defiant surged forward, its engines straining. Morrison felt the ship shake as they pushed beyond safe limits. Behind them, the last of the human fleet was retreating. But several ships followed Morrison's lead, forming a protective screen around the struggling transport. The alien weapon fired. The beam was so bright it overwhelmed the view screen's filters. Morrison felt the ship's shields collapse instantly, but somehow the Defiant held together. The energy blast passed over them, missing the transport by mere kilometers. "Damage report," Morrison called out. "Shields down, armor breached in multiple sections," Torres reported. "But we're still flying." Morrison was about to order another evasive maneuver when something strange happened. The alien fleet stopped firing. Their ships held position as if waiting for something. "Sir, we're receiving another transmission," Foster said. "This one is different. It's a data burst, not a message." "What kind of data?" Foster frowned at her instruments. "Coordinates, sir?" "Deep space coordinates for a location in the outer system." Morrison stared at the tactical display. The aliens had stopped their attack to send coordinates. Why would they do that? What was at those coordinates that was more important than destroying Earth's fleet? "Set course for those coordinates," Morrison ordered. "Sir, Admiral Sullivan ordered us to fall back to Earth," Blake reminded him. Morrison looked at the retreating human fleet, then at the alien armada holding position. Something was wrong with this whole situation. The aliens had superior technology and numbers, but they had stopped fighting. They were waiting. "I have a feeling," Morrison said quietly, "that those coordinates are the key to understanding what's really happening here." The Defiant moved through the darkness of space toward the mysterious coordinates. Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the stars drift by on the view screen. His crew worked quietly at their stations, but he could feel their uncertainty. They were heading into unknown territory, disobeying direct orders from Earth Command. How long until we reach the coordinates? Morrison asked. 30 minutes, sir, Blake replied from his position at the tactical station. His voice was tense. Captain, I have to ask again. Are we sure about this? Admiral Sullivan specifically ordered us to return to Earth. Morrison turned to face his friend. Blake had served with him for 8 years, through battles and peacekeeping. Missions across the galaxy. The man had never questioned his orders before. I know this seems wrong, Ryan, Morrison said. But something about that attack didn't make sense. Why would the aliens send us coordinates instead of just destroying us? Commander Paul Davis stepped forward from his station. As Morrison's second-in-command, Davis was known for following regulations exactly. Sir, with respect, we're gambling with the lives of everyone on this ship. Those coordinates could be a trap. It could be, Morrison agreed, but it could also be answers. And right now, answers are what we need most. Dr. Helen Rogers looked up from her science station. Captain, I've been analyzing the energy readings from the alien ships. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but there's something familiar about some of their energy signatures. Morrison walked over to her station. What do you mean, familiar? I'm not sure yet, Rogers said, frowning at her instruments. But some of the readings match patterns I've seen in our own systems. It's probably just a coincidence. Maybe, Morrison said, but something in his gut told him it wasn't. The ship's intercom crackled to life. Captain, this is Chief Torres. In engineering, we're approaching the coordinates now. Morrison returned to his chair. On screen, the view screen showed empty space at first, but then the sensors detected something. A small structure orbited a dead moon, barely visible against the darkness. It's a space station, Foster said from communications, but it's not showing up on any of our charts. Morrison studied the structure on the screen. It was clearly human-made, with the angular design typical of Earth construction. But it was older than any station he knew about in this sector. Any signs of life? Morrison asked. Rogers checked her instruments. Minimal power readings. Life support is active, but I'm not detecting any human signatures. Could be automated systems, Davis suggested. Morrison made his decision. Prepare a boarding party. Blake, you're with me. Davis, you have the bridge. Sir, I should go instead, Davis protested. If this is a trap, the ship needs its captain. The ship needs someone who can think outside the regulations, Morrison replied. That's me, not you. No offense. Davis looked hurt but nodded. Understood, sir. Morrison led his boarding party to the shuttle bay. Along with Blake he brought Security Chief Lavra Webb and 2 security officers. The shuttle launched from the Defiant and approached the mysterious station. Getting a closer look at this thing, Blake said from the pilot's seat. It's definitely human, but the design is at least 20 years old, maybe older. Any identification markers? Morrison asked. None visible, Webb replied. But there's a docking port that looks compatible with our systems. The shuttle docked with the station, and the boarding party prepared to enter. Morrison checked his weapon and breathing equipment. The station had atmosphere, but he wasn't taking any chances. They entered through the airlock into a corridor that looked like it belonged on an Earth military base. The walls were gray metal, and the lighting was dim but functional. Everything was clean and well-maintained, despite the station's apparent age. This place gives me the creeps, one of the security officers muttered. Morrison had to agree. The station felt wrong somehow, like it was hiding something important. They moved through the corridors, checking each room they passed. Most were empty, but they found what looked like research laboratories filled with equipment Morrison didn't recognize. The technology was clearly advanced, but it wasn't quite human in design. Captain, you need to see this, Webb called from ahead. Morrison joined her in what appeared to be a command center. The walls were covered with screens displaying technical data, star charts, and what looked like ship designs. But it was the nameplate on the main desk that caught his attention. Dr. Richard Stone, Director, Helix Project, Morrison read aloud. Ever heard of the Helix Project? Blake shook his head. No, sir, but look at these ship designs. The screens showed blueprints for spacecraft that looked similar to current Earth designs, but with modifications Morrison didn't understand. The engines were different, the weapons were more advanced, and the defensive systems used technology he had never seen before. These ships look more advanced than anything in our fleet, Morrison said, but the basic design is definitely human. Webb had moved to a computer terminal and was trying to access the data. Captain, this system is heavily encrypted. It's going to take time to break through the security. Do what you can, Morrison said. I want to know what this place is. They continued exploring the station, finding more laboratories and research facilities. In one room, Morrison discovered something that made his blood run cold. Glass containers lined the walls, each one containing what looked like alien technology. The devices were clearly not human-made, with their smooth curves and strange materials. Blake, come look at this, Morrison called. His friend joined him in front of the containers. Are those alien devices? They look like it, Morrison said. But what are they doing here? Blake studied the labels on the containers. These dates go back 10 years. Captain, this facility has been collecting alien technology for a decade. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. Keep looking. I want to know everything about this place. They found more evidence as they explored. Computer terminals showed records of spacecraft being reverse-engineered, alien technology being studied and copied, and worst of all, contact with alien species dating back years. Webb finally managed to break through the computer security. Captain, I've got access to the main database. You're not going to believe this. Morrison and Blake gathered around the terminal as Webb brought up the files. The screen showed communication logs, technical reports, and what looked like treaty documents. These are communications with the Zephrian Empire, Webb said. They go back 12 years. Morrison read the files with growing horror. The documents showed that Earth's government had been in secret contact with the aliens for over a decade. But it wasn't peaceful contact. According to the files, human agents had been stealing Zephrian technology and bringing it back to Earth for study. This can't be right, Blake said. Our government wouldn't do something like this. But Morrison was reading deeper into the files. Look at this, he said, pointing to a technical report. Our faster-than-light engines. The energy. Weapons on our ships, even our defensive shields. They're all based on stolen Zephrian technology. Webb brought up more files. There's more, sir. The Helix project wasn't just stealing technology. They were stealing it from crashed ships, disabled vessels, even from diplomatic missions. Morrison felt sick. So when the Zephrians showed up at Earth, they weren't invading. They were coming to get their property back. It gets worse, Webb continued. According to these files, Earth Command knows about the theft. Admiral Sullivan, General Parker, even the President, they all know. Blake slammed his fist on the desk. So they let us go out there and fight a war we started? They let good people die to cover up their crimes? Morrison was reading another file, this one marked Emergency Protocol 7. If the Zephrians ever discovered the theft, Earth Command planned to destroy all evidence and claim it was an unprovoked attack. They were going to sacrifice the entire fleet to hide the truth, Webb said quietly. Morrison stood up, his mind racing. Everything made sense now. The aliens' superior technology, their tactical precision, even their hesitation to destroy Earth's fleet completely. They weren't conquerors. They were law enforcement trying to recover stolen property. We have to get this information back. To Earth, Morrison said. The people need to know the truth. Blake nodded, but Webb looked worried. Captain, if Earth Command is willing to let people die to hide this secret, what do you think they'll do to us for discovering it? Morrison thought about that for a moment. Webb was right. By uncovering the truth, they had put themselves in danger, but they also had a responsibility to the people who had died fighting a war based on lies. Download everything, Morrison ordered. Every file, every communication, every piece of evidence. We're going to make sure the truth gets out. As Webb worked to copy the files, Morrison walked to the station's observation deck. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see the stars and in the distance, the glow of Earth's sun. Somewhere out there, the Zephrian fleet was waiting. Probably hoping that someone would finally listen to reason, Morrison made his decision. He activated his communicator and contacted the Defiant. Davis, prepare the ship for immediate departure. We're going back to Earth, but not to surrender. We're going to expose the truth about this war. Sir, are you sure about this? Davis asked over the com. Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching Earth grow larger on the view screen. His ship was racing toward home, but he no longer felt like he was returning to safety. The evidence they had discovered at the Helix project station changed. Everything. Earth wasn't the victim in this war. Earth was the criminal. Sir, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command? Foster reported from her communications station. Morrison nodded. Put it through. Admiral Sullivan's face appeared on the screen, but she looked different now. Her expression was cold, and Morrison could see anger in her eyes. Commander Morrison, you are ordered to return to Earth immediately and report to headquarters for debriefing, Sullivan said. Your unauthorized mission to the outer system was a direct violation of orders. Admiral, I have important information about the alien fleet, Morrison began. We discovered a research station that explains everything. The only thing you need to explain is why you disobeyed a direct order, Sullivan interrupted. Earth. Command will handle the alien situation. Your job is to follow orders, not to play detective. Morrison felt his anger rising. Admiral, the people have a right to know the truth about this war. Sullivan's eyes narrowed. Commander Morrison, you are relieved of duty. Commander Davis will assume command of the Defiant immediately. The transmission ended, leaving Morrison staring at the blank screen. Around him, his bridge crew sat in stunned silence. They had all heard the conversation, and they knew something was wrong. Davis stepped forward, his face troubled. Jack, maybe we should just go back and explain everything. If we have evidence of what really happened, they'll have to listen. Morrison turned to face his second-in-command. Paul, they already know what happened. They've known for years. Admiral, Sullivan isn't angry because we disobeyed orders. She's angry because we found out the truth. Blake looked up from his tactical station. Captain, I'm detecting another ship approaching. It's the UES Ranger. Morrison recognized the ship immediately. Captain Danny Walsh commanded the Ranger, and he was known for following orders without question. If Earth Command had sent him, it meant they were serious about stopping Morrison. Open a channel, Morrison ordered. Captain Walsh's weathered face appeared on the screen. He was older than Morrison, a veteran of many battles, but his expression was grim. Jack, I'm sorry about this, Walsh said. But I have orders to escort you back to Earth. Admiral Sullivan wants you in custody. Danny, you need to hear what we discovered, Morrison said. The aliens aren't the enemy. Our own government is lying to us. Walsh shook his head. Jack, I've known you for 15 years. You're a good officer, but you're talking like a crazy man. Just surrender peacefully and we'll sort this out back. On Earth, Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting for his decision. He could see doubt in some of their faces. Maybe they were starting to think he had lost his mind. I can't do that, Danny, Morrison said. Not when I know the truth. Walsh's expression hardened. Then I'm sorry, but I have to take you in by force. The transmission ended, and Morrison turned to his crew. I know this is hard to understand, but everything we've been told about this war is a lie. The evidence is in our computer systems. Dr. Rogers, show them what we found. Rogers hesitated for a moment, then activated the main display. The screen filled with images from the Helix project station. Technical documents, communication logs, and evidence of stolen alien technology. This is proof that Earth has been stealing from the Zephrian Empire for over 10 years, Rogers explained. Our ships, our weapons, even our defensive systems are all based on stolen technology. The bridge crew stared at the evidence in shock. Morrison could see the realization dawning on their faces. Everything they had believed about their technological advancement was a lie, but not everyone was convinced. Lieutenant Commander Blake stepped forward, his face angry. This is insane, Blake said. You're asking us to believe that our own government would start a war to cover up theft? That they would sacrifice thousands of lives for stolen technology? Morrison looked at his old friend with sadness. Ryan, I know it's hard to accept, but the evidence is right there. Evidence can be faked, Blake replied. Maybe this is some kind of alien trick. Maybe they planted that station to confuse us. Other crew members began to speak up, their voices overlapping in argument. Some supported Morrison, while others sided with Blake. The bridge descended into chaos as friends and colleagues chose sides. Enough, Morrison shouted. We don't have time for this. The Ranger is closing in, and we need to decide what to do. Davis stepped between Morrison and Blake. Jack, I want to believe you, but this is too much. Maybe we should just surrender and let Earth Command sort this out. Morrison felt his heart sink. Even Davis, his most trusted officer, was starting to doubt him. He looked around the bridge and saw his crew dividing into two groups. Those who believed him stood on one side, while those who doubted him moved to the other. Sir, the Ranger is charging weapons, Foster reported. Captain Walsh is serious about this. Morrison made his decision. All crew members who want to leave can take the shuttle pods. I won't force anyone to stay with me. Blake stepped forward. Jack, I'm relieving you of command. You're clearly not thinking straight. I'm thinking more clearly than I ever have, Morrison replied. But if you want to try to stop me, go ahead. The tension on the bridge was thick enough to cut. Morrison could see hands moving toward weapons, friends preparing to fight each other. This wasn't what he wanted, but he couldn't let Earth Command cover up the truth. Captain, incoming transmission, Foster said. It's from a civilian transport. Morrison nodded. Put it through. Captain Maria Santos appeared on the screen. Her transport ship was one of the vessels they had protected during the initial alien attack. Behind her, Morrison could see hundreds of refugee families crowded into her cargo bays. Commander Morrison, we heard about your situation, Santos said. We also intercepted some of the data transmissions from your ship. If what you're saying is true, then our government has been lying to us all along. Morrison felt a glimmer of hope. Captain Santos, I know this is hard to believe, but the evidence is real. The aliens aren't invaders. They're trying to recover. Stolen property? Santos nodded grimly. We've been monitoring the alien fleet's movements. They're not attacking civilian targets. They're only going after military installations and research facilities. That doesn't sound like an invasion to me. Blake interrupted. Don't listen to him, Captain Santos. Morrison has lost his mind. He's putting everyone in danger with these conspiracy theories, but Santos shook her head. I've been in space for 20 years, Lieutenant Commander. I know the difference between an invasion and a police action. The aliens are being very selective about their targets. Morrison felt his crew's attention shift. Santos was a respected civilian captain, known for her honesty and good judgment. If she believed the evidence, maybe others would too. Captain Morrison, we're with you, Santos said. Whatever you need to do to expose the truth, we'll support you. Morrison looked around his bridge. The crew was still divided, but he could see some of the doubters starting to waver. The evidence was overwhelming, and Santos's support carried weight. Sir, the Ranger is hailing us again, Foster reported. Morrison nodded. Put Captain Walsh through? Walsh's face appeared on the screen, looking frustrated. Jack, this is your last chance. Surrender now, or I'll have to disable your ship. Morrison looked at his divided crew, then at the evidence on the main display. He thought about all the people who had died fighting a war based on lies. He thought about the families, like those on Santos's transport, who deserved to know the truth. Danny, I'm sorry, Morrison said, but I can't let them cover this up. Walsh's expression hardened. Then you've made your choice. The transmission ended, and Morrison turned to his crew. Anyone who wants to leave, now is the time. Take the shuttle pods and go to the Ranger. But if you stay, you're committing to helping me expose the truth. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then, slowly, some crew members began to leave the bridge. Blake was among them, his face full of disappointment and anger. Davis hesitated, then followed Blake toward the exit, but others remained. Foster stayed at her station, as did Rogers and Chief Torres. About half the crew chose to stay with Morrison, while the other half left to join the Ranger. "Sir, the Ranger is powering up weapons," Foster reported. "They're targeting our engines." Morrison sat down in the captain's chair, surrounded by the crew members who had chosen to trust him. "All right, people. We have a job to do. We're going to get this evidence to the people of Earth, no matter what it takes." Outside, the Ranger began its attack run. Morrison knew they were outgunned and outnumbered, but he also knew they had something the enemy didn't have. They had the truth, and sometimes that was enough to change everything. The Defiant shook as the Ranger's weapons struck their engines. Morrison gripped his chair as sparks flew from damaged control panels around the bridge. His reduced crew worked desperately to keep the ship functioning while under attack from their former allies. "Damage report," Morrison called out. Chief Torres's voice crackled over the intercom from engineering. "Port engine is offline, sir. We're running on emergency power only. If they hit us again like that, we're dead in space." Morrison looked at the tactical display. The Ranger was a newer ship with better weapons and shields. In a straight fight, the Defiant didn't stand a chance. But Morrison wasn't planning to fight. He had a different idea. "Foster, open a channel to the alien fleet," Morrison ordered. Dr. Rogers looked up from her science station in shock. "Sir, are you sure about this? They might just destroy us?" "They might," Morrison agreed, "but they also might listen. We have something they want, the truth." Foster worked at her communications station. "I'm transmitting on all frequencies the aliens used before. No response yet, sir." The Ranger fired again, this time targeting the Defiant's weapon systems. Morrison felt the ship lurch as their defensive capabilities were stripped away. They were now completely helpless against Walsh's attack. "Sir, I'm getting something," Foster said suddenly. "It's the alien flagship. They're responding." "Put it through," Morrison ordered. The view screen changed to show the interior of an alien ship. The walls were smooth and organic-looking, covered in patterns that seemed to shift and move. In the center of the screen stood a tall figure in elaborate robes. The alien's face was hidden behind a mask that looked like flowing water, but Morrison could see intelligence in its large, dark eyes. "I am Fleet Marshal Zixthara of the Zephrian Empire," the alien said through a translation device. "You are the human commander who investigated the stolen technology facility." Morrison stood up, surprised that the alien knew about their discovery. "Yes, I am Commander Jack Morrison. We found evidence that Earth has been stealing your technology for years." "We know," Zixthara replied. "We have been monitoring that facility since its construction. We hoped that one day an honorable human would discover the truth and contact us." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. "You've been watching us?" "The Zephrian Empire has laws about dealing with theft," Zixthara explained. "We cannot simply take back what was stolen. The thieves must be confronted with evidence of their crimes. They must be given a chance to confess and make amends." Rogers leaned forward at her station. "So this whole war is really a legal proceeding?" "In a way." "Yes," Zixthara said. "But your leaders have chosen to fight rather than admit their crimes. They would rather sacrifice innocent lives than return what they stole." Morrison thought about Admiral Sullivan's angry face and Captain Walsh's reluctant attack. They're trying to cover up the evidence. They're willing to kill anyone who knows. "The truth, including you," Zixthara observed. "Your own ship is attacking you because you chose to reveal their deception?" The Defiant shook again as the Ranger's weapons struck their shields. Morrison could see the shield readings dropping rapidly. They only had minutes before Walsh's ship would break through their defenses. "Fleet Marshal, I have a proposal," Morrison said quickly. "We have all the evidence of the theft. Every document, every communication, every piece of stolen technology. If we can get this information to the people of Earth, they'll demand that their government return your property." Zixthara considered this for a moment. "Your proposal has merit, Commander Morrison, but your leaders will try to stop you. They have hidden the stolen technology in a secure facility where they plan to use it against us." "Where?" Morrison asked. "In the mountains of your North American continent." A place called the Colorado Research Facility? Dr. Stone and your military? Leaders are there now, preparing their final weapon? Morrison felt his blood turn cold. What kind of weapon? They have combined our stolen technology into a device capable of destroying entire star systems, Zixthara explained. They plan to use it against our fleet and then claim it was their own invention, Foster gasped from her station. They're going to commit genocide and take credit for the weapon they used to do it. That's not all, Zixthara continued. If they succeed in destroying our fleet, they will continue stealing from other species. Your leaders see theft as an easier path than honest development. Morrison realized the full scope of what was happening. This wasn't just about returning stolen property. Earth's leaders were planning to become galactic criminals, building their empire on theft and murder. We have to stop them, Morrison said. But first, I need to get this evidence to the people of Earth. The facility in Colorado is heavily defended, Zixthara warned. Your military has surrounded it with their most powerful ships and weapons. Even if you could reach it, they would destroy you before you could broadcast the truth. Morrison thought quickly. The Ranger was closing in for another attack, and the Defiant was too damaged to run. But maybe they didn't need to run. Maybe they needed to do something completely unexpected. Fleet Marshal, I have another idea, Morrison said. What if we work together? Zixthara's translator was quiet for a moment. Explain. You need someone to expose the truth to the human population. I need protection from my own military. If we combine our efforts, we might be able to reach that facility and broadcast the evidence before they can stop us. You are asking me to? Trust a human, Zixthara said. After your species has proven itself capable of theft and deception. Morrison looked around his bridge at the crew members who had chosen to stay with him. Not all humans are thieves and liars. Some of us believe in doing the right thing, even when it's difficult. The Defiant shook again as the Ranger's weapons struck home. This time, the lights flickered and Morrison could smell smoke from damaged systems. Sir, shields are down to 15%, Torres reported over the intercom. One more hit and we're finished. Morrison looked back at the alien commander on the screen. Fleet Marshal, my people are dying because of lies told by our leaders. Innocent civilians are being used as shields to protect criminals. If you help me expose the truth, I can prevent a war that will kill millions on both sides. Zixthara was quiet for a long moment. Morrison could see the alien's eyes studying him as if trying to read his soul. Very well, Commander Morrison. Zixthara finally said, We will provide you with escort ships to protect you on your way to the Colorado facility. But know this, if you betray us, the consequences will be severe. I understand, Morrison said, and thank you. The transmission ended, and immediately the tactical display showed 3 alien ships moving toward the Defiant. They were smaller than the massive flagship, but still larger than any human vessel. Sir, the alien ships are taking position around us, Foster reported. They're targeting the Ranger. Morrison opened a channel to Captain Walsh. Denny, this is your last chance to stand down. The aliens are protecting us now, and they won't hesitate to destroy your ship. Walsh's face appeared on the screen, looking frustrated and angry. Jack, what have you done? You're working with the enemy now? They're not the enemy, Danny, Morrison said sadly. Our own leaders are. The aliens are just trying to get back what was stolen from them. I don't believe you, Walsh replied. And even if it's true, I have my orders. The Ranger fired again, but this time the alien ships intercepted the weapons with their own energy beams. The human missiles exploded harmlessly in space while the alien vessels moved to surround the Ranger. Danny, please, Morrison tried again. Look at the evidence. Ask yourself why the aliens only attack military targets. Ask yourself why they're being so careful not to harm civilians. Walsh's expression wavered for a moment. Morrison could see doubt creeping into his old friend's eyes. Even if you're right, Walsh said finally, I can't just abandon my duty. Sometimes duty means doing what's right, not just following orders, Morrison replied. Walsh was quiet for a moment. Then his image disappeared from the screen. Morrison waited, wondering if his friend would continue the attack. "Sir, the Ranger is powering down weapons," Foster reported. "They're retreating." Morrison felt a wave of relief. Walsh had made the right choice, even though it would probably cost him his career. "Set course for the Colorado facility," Morrison ordered. "It's time to end this war before it destroys both our species." The Defiant, escorted by its unlikely alien protectors, began the journey toward Earth. Morrison knew that ahead of them lay the most dangerous mission of his life. But he also knew that the truth was worth fighting for, no matter the cost. The Colorado Mountains appeared on the Defiant's viewscreen as Morrison's ship approached. Earth, the alien escort vessels flew alongside them, their smooth hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Below them, Morrison could see the massive underground facility built into the mountainside, surrounded by defensive platforms and patrol ships. "Sir, we're being targeted by at least 50 human vessels," Foster reported from her communications station. "They're demanding we surrender immediately." Morrison looked at the tactical display. Earth's military had positioned their most powerful ships around the facility. He recognized the formations from his academy training, but now those same defensive patterns were being used against him. "Any word from Fleet Marshal Zixtara?" Morrison asked. "The alien ships are holding position, sir," Foster replied. "They're waiting for your orders." Morrison activated his personal communicator. "This is Commander Jack Morrison to all Earth forces. I'm broadcasting evidence of war crimes committed by our own government. Stand down and let the truth be heard." The response came immediately from Admiral Sullivan herself. Her face appeared on the main screen, and Morrison could see she was inside the underground facility. Behind her, he glimpsed high-tech equipment and what looked like a massive weapon system. "Morrison, you're a traitor to your own species," Sullivan said angrily. "You're working with alien invaders against your own people." "The only invaders here are the thieves who stole alien technology," Morrison replied. "Admiral, the people of Earth deserve to know what you've done in their name." Sullivan's expression hardened. "The people don't need to know anything except that we're protecting them. Dr. Stone's weapon will destroy the alien fleet and secure Earth's future." Behind Sullivan, Morrison could see Dr. Stone working at a control panel. The scientist looked older and more desperate than in the files from the Helix project station. His hands shook as he made final adjustments to what Morrison assumed was the stolen weapon. "That weapon was built with stolen technology," Morrison said. "You're planning to commit genocide with tools you had no right to possess." "We're planning to survive," Sullivan shot back. "When this is over, Earth will be the most powerful force in the galaxy. No one will ever threaten us again." Morrison felt sick. Sullivan truly believed that theft and murder were acceptable if they made Earth stronger. She couldn't see that her actions would make humanity into the very monsters they claimed to be fighting. "Sir, Captain Santos is hailing us," Foster interrupted. "She says she has something important to tell you," Morrison nodded. "Put her through." Santos appeared on a smaller screen beside Sullivan's image. Behind her, Morrison could see dozens of civilian transport ships gathering near Earth's orbit. "Commander Morrison, we've been monitoring communications from the facility," Santos said. "Dr. Stone's weapon isn't just targeting the alien fleet. If he fires it, the energy blast will destroy everything within 1,000 kilometers. That includes 3 major cities and over 10 million civilians." Morrison's blood turned cold. "They're willing to kill 10 million of their own people." "Gets worse," Santos continued. "According to the technical data we intercepted, they plan to blame the destruction on the aliens. They'll claim it was an alien weapon that caused the damage." Sullivan's face on the main screen showed no emotion at this revelation. "Acceptable losses," she said simply. "The people will understand when they see what we accomplished." Morrison realized that Sullivan and her conspirators had moved completely beyond reason. They were willing to sacrifice millions of innocent lives to maintain their power and cover up their crimes. "Admiral, I'm broadcasting all the evidence we collected to every communication satellite around Earth," Morrison announced. The people will know the truth within minutes. Sullivan smiled coldly. Go ahead. By the time anyone receives your transmission, this will all be over. Dr. Stone, fire the weapon. Morrison watched in horror as Stone reached for the firing control. But before the scientist could activate the weapon, Chief Torres's voice crackled over the Defiance intercom. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildups from the alien ships. I think they're preparing to do something. On the view screen, Morrison could see the 3 escort vessels positioning themselves between the facility and the alien fleet in the distance. Brilliant light began to gather around their hulls as they charged some kind of defensive system. Fleet Marshal Zixtara's voice came through the communications system. Commander Morrison, we are creating an energy barrier to contain the blast from the stolen weapon. But we cannot maintain it for long, Morrison understood. The aliens were sacrificing themselves to protect Earth civilians from their own government's weapon. It was exactly the kind of honorable behavior that Zixtara had talked about during their first meeting. Dr. Stone, wait, Morrison called out. If you fire that weapon, you'll be committing murder on a scale that will make you the worst criminal in human history. Stone hesitated, his hand hovering over the control. Morrison could see doubt in the scientist's eyes, as if he was finally realizing the magnitude of what he was about to do. Don't listen to him, Sullivan ordered. Fire the weapon now. But Stone stepped back from the controls. Admiral, maybe we should reconsider. If Morrison is right about the civilian casualties. Sullivan drew her sidearm and pointed it at Stone. I said fire the weapon. Morrison made his decision. Foster, broadcast everything on all frequencies. Every communication channel, every emergency network, every civilian frequency. I want every person on Earth to see this. Foster's fingers flew over her controls. Broadcasting now, sir. Within seconds, Morrison's evidence was being transmitted across the planet. Video files from the Helix project station. Communication logs showing the theft of alien technology and, most importantly, live footage of Admiral Sullivan threatening Dr. Stone while preparing to destroy 3 cities. The response was immediate. Morrison could see communication channels lighting up as people across Earth received the broadcast. News networks picked up the signal, and within minutes, every screen on the planet was showing the truth about the war. Admiral, we're receiving thousands of messages from Earth, one of Sullivan's subordinates reported. The planetary government is demanding that we stand down immediately. Sullivan's face twisted with rage. It's too late for that. Stone, fire the weapon, or I'll do it myself. But before she could move toward the controls, Captain Santos's voice came over the communications system. Admiral Sullivan, this is Captain Maria Santos representing the civilian transport fleet. We have over 50 ships positioned between your facility and the nearest city. If you fire that weapon, you'll have to go through us first. Morrison looked at his tactical display and saw the truth of Santos's words. Dozens of civilian ships had moved into the weapon's firing path, creating a human shield around the populated areas. You're all traitors, Sullivan screamed. I'll destroy every one of you if I have to. But her own subordinates were backing away from her now. They had seen the evidence, heard the communications, and realized that they were following orders from a madwoman. One by one, the facility staff began to surrender, laying down their weapons and stepping away from their posts. Dr. Stone was the first to speak. Admiral, I can't be part of this anymore. The commander is right. What we've done is wrong. Sullivan spun around, pointing her weapon at Stone, but Chief Torres's voice came over the intercom again. Sir, I'm reading a massive power surge from the facility. Something's overloading. Morrison realized what was happening. The stolen alien technology was unstable, and all the energy buildups from the various weapon systems were causing a cascade failure. Everyone needs to evacuate that facility immediately, Morrison broadcast. The stolen technology is going to explode. Fleet Marshal Zixtara's voice joined the conversation. Commander Morrison speaks truth. Our sensors detect critical instability in the stolen devices. All humans must leave the area immediately. The facility began to shake as explosions echoed through its corridors. Morrison watched as personnel ran for the exits, including Dr. Stone and most of Sullivan's staff. But the Admiral herself remained at the weapon controls, still trying to fire the device even as everything collapsed around her. "Admiral, you have to get out of there," Morrison called. "Never," Sullivan replied. "I'll complete this mission even if it kills me." The facility's main reactor went critical, and Morrison watched helplessly as the entire underground complex disappeared in a massive explosion. The stolen alien technology was finally destroyed, along with Admiral Sullivan and her dreams of galactic conquest. When the dust settled, Fleet Marshal Zixthara contacted Morrison one final time. "Commander Morrison, your courage has prevented a great tragedy. The Zephrian Empire recognizes you as an honorable representative of your species." Morrison looked around his bridge at the crew members who had chosen to trust him. They had all sacrificed their careers and risked their lives to do what was right. But seeing the truth finally revealed to the galaxy made it all worthwhile. "Thank you, Fleet Marshal," Morrison replied. "I hope this can be the beginning of honest friendship between our peoples." 6 months later, Morrison stood in the New Earth embassy on the Zephrian homeworld. As Earth's first ambassador to the alien empire,